Hello.
Is my mic on?
Yeah, it is.
Look, okay.
I turned it on unless you turned it on.
Number 18.
You guys can hear him, right?
Yeah, it's on. Okay. Episode number 18. This is one that is a huge passion of mine recently. We're going to talk about energetics of finances. So making money, and then also actual like easy ways. It's easy. What obvious ways to make money right now? That's not some scheme. It's just for you to actually go do your own research. So starting out, I think legally you have to actually. I'm just some asshole in the gym. I'm not a financial advisor, right? I'm not giving you financial advice.
Do you have to do that legally?
I don't know. I guess I am giving you financial advice, but not in the capacity of a financial advisor. Just a nerd that studies a lot that just talks about his thoughts. Okay? So don't do your own research. This is for entertainment and also for you to potentially, yeah. Okay? And then we have Ashley today because she's interested in it, but she actually hasn't spent a lot of time in it. So as I'm talking about it, she's there to actually help me gauge.
I'm interested in it, but generally this stuff
yeah.
bores me.
So my goal is to convince you without boring you and actually getting your interest. Okay? Because it's really, really fun when you could get seduced and it's playful to actually start messing around with money and you don't relate to it as this like cash or whatever. Mm-hmm. It actually occurs, again, like now it occurs to me as like an igniter of opportunity, right? So it's actually really, really far out, very energetic. And it's just something that it's just like fuel for you to actually fulfill on your like leadership goals.
Yes, because I was about to say when I link it to, if I'm just thinking about money and making more money, my energy drops.
Yeah,
if I
me too.
link it to my purpose and what I want to do and what I need to do that, then it, Yes.
Okay, cool. And actually, let me see this because I already forgot the name of it. Okay.
Oh, is it book?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna actually give you guys the ending first, right? So here's the ending. If you have a blockage with money, that has to move. If that doesn't move, the most like awesome like opportunity, easy ways to make money, like easy techniques, none of that work. You'll either tune out or you'll find a way to self-sabotage. Okay, so that's very, very first step. Okay, and this is all the endings. So I'm going to do the summary, and then the opportunity right now is in gold, silver, physical gold, silver, and then in cryptocurrency. And I'll actually start talking about why, and I'll piece it together in a way that actually like makes sense, like why, and then why not the stock market, or even residential real estate right now. Okay, even though there's probably going to be opportunities in. I'll talk about that later. Okay, so have to move something energetically, and then physical gold, silver, and crypto. Mm-hmm. Okay, so first we have to actually talk about money. Okay, one, like as I think about it, it's raining for me. So money for me really shifted in April, right, during this ayahuasca ceremony. So when you're more aware energetically, I noticed that it was linked to my father, but also like being a business owner and money were all stuck like in this area right in front of my heart, where it felt very, very just like low energy and just draining. Okay, and after the ayahuasca ceremony, one of the big wins I got out of it, I don't remember if I talked about it, was that I noticed it moved. Like it wasn't stuck there anymore. Now when my energy drops, I can notice everything start converging there, but it was more malleable and moved. Okay, I'm not saying ayahuasca is the only way to move it, but for me it clearly moved. Now something really interesting happened. I remember about a week after that, I got a call from my mom. And my mom, who's normally really, really scared, always worried about money, just wants to, she always told me, don't think about getting rich. You just want like a reliable job, or you have a specialty and then you just want to get a peaceful family, like that deal, right? She's telling me how like my dad's company, which is in Taiwan and Germany, has just been taking off. There's all these opportunities happening and it's just growing really big, and she's like really confident, which, for people that know my mom, it's like, whoa, like what's going on? Like this this is a different person, right? In relationship to like the future and money and everything. So not only did it shift for me, but because it was like connected to my dad and everything, right? Like even at the time, my feeling was like, as it shifted for me, it also shifted for my dad. Okay. Obviously, I do a lot of energy work. Work at Donnie Epstein, taking a course called Alchemy. But if you want just like kind of like an intro to that, a really, really good book is called Secret of the Millionaire's Mind. Let me actually look it up. I don't remember the name. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. And I'll put it in the comments, T-H-A-R-V and then E-C-K-E-R. And he actually leads workshops. And what he actually focuses on is to help you start identifying a lot of these like energetic stuff. He does it more through linguistics, right? But even through linguistics, you could get there, right? Because if I ask you, hey, what's your experience with your body image, right? You'll have an experience with it. What about your experience with finances or business, right? You'll have a different experience with it. What about your experience or how energetic you feel in the area of relationships? It could be friends or romantic, right? There's a different experience. So you don't have to just go straight for the energy, right? You could get there in a bunch of different ways. So Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. Especially if you know there's a blockage for you with money, right? It could just be redefining it. So money, when I think about it, if I focus on it now, it actually still doesn't feel that good. And if I go to my more like unconscious default definition of it now, which is more of an igniter of opportunity, it just feels way more energized, right? But it's not as simple as just redefining it, because if something's locking it in place, you could redefine it, but it's just saying words. It doesn't actually do anything.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I definitely had a block and it's moved recently.
Yeah.
Now when I think of finances, it's in two spots. Is that the gap?
Say a little bit more about it.
Okay, so now when I think of finances, I think of one where it's out there and is just like a fund fueling my purpose.
Yeah.
Where it's like I'm fine no matter what, because no matter what I need to do, somehow that will come through.
Okay.
And then I have almost like a fear of finances of, it feels like it's linked to my family, where I'm just always going to be middle class and not quite at the financial level I need to in order to do the things.
Yeah. Okay. So you notice both going on.
I notice both going on.
So what it sounds like is it's kind of like you're kind of stuck.
Yes.
Right. So there's a external, if you're an external.
Yeah.
And there's an internal experience of it.
Okay.
And there's actually two.
Three.
Okay. So if you notice two spots, is there a spot where they start like intersecting and conflicting with each other? Is it
yeah.
There is?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So you can actually acknowledge like that spot and then notice what happens after.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I'll do
okay, cool.
There. Sorry.
Okay. So again, we're not gonna like, it's a podcast. I won't be able to get into like shifting it because everyone's a little bit different, but just know there's lots of tools out there. And then when it shifts, and this is not just money, it's any area of your life, right? Because I could definitely speak about this just for the money thing because of the recently, literally your experience of it is different. Like it comes effortlessly. You're like, wow, I actually don't have the effort for things to happen. It can actually be fun. Like there's no way this is going to be fun before. It could actually be seductive. You can actually be seduced by something that used to actually be repulsive. Okay, so that's the very first step.
And when that happens, I normally say it feels like magic.
It feels like exactly like when you experience magic. It's like Christmas morning and like holiday season in the air. It's like anything's possible.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's just like wow. Like the possibilities are endless. Like that kind of like exactly. Okay. So with that out of the way, which actually is by far the most important part, because you get that out of the way in any environment, I think you'll actually be able to do well. Okay, let's talk about our current economic situation. Okay, just for the record, my personality where I do best, because I'm really good at seeing big picture stuff and then integrating them together. I know I do best when I analyze like fundamentals, right? So what people call fundamentals. So like, what are the fundamentals of this investment, right? So maybe in a short-term window, like 2 to 3 days, it could go down, right? But like, there's a general trend that it's going to follow, right? So like, when that's the case, like the entry price isn't as important. It's that, hey, whether something is undervalued or overvalued, right? So if something's undervalued, you get into it, then it kind of goes towards its normal value, right? You're going to gain value, right? Like but I'm not really good at doing basically like technical analysis where you're like analyzing like short-term like trend, like short-term basically what the marketplace is doing. So what people are doing, like I'm not good at that, right? So like for example, I've had to do like a games equivalent, like if you go to game night, like Cards Against Humanity. You ever played that? Mm-hmm. Okay, I suck at Cards Against Humanity. I suck. Like just like picking out like the card that person's gonna choose. Like I don't freaking. I hate this game. It requires no skill, right? But if it's
that one's not necessarily about winning though. Just like to hear the funny things like that.
Yeah. Well, my personality is well. Yeah. Sorry, but so what I'm talking about is big picture macroeconomics. Right, and then like if you look at it, if you zoom out even like a month, which I was showing Ashley before, you'll actually start seeing like what we're trending towards. Okay, so first let's actually start talking about money again, not the energetic stuff, just money like what it actually is. Okay, what do you think about when you think about money as far as like what it is?
Okay, this has also changed for me lately. Money, I just thought was, something
so
you
we're
make
gonna take
and
out
spend.
we're gonna take out the spiritual or energy stuff, right? And just talk about it like pure definition.
It's something you earn and something you spend. Mm-hmm. But now I relate to it.
Okay, it was something you earn and something you spend.
That's basically all it was for me before.
Yeah, and then now?
Now I'm actually just questioning a little bit because I've been thinking of like the way currency started and like the economy and how it shifts and changes, and so now it's like something it feels like something that we've been tricked to think is a real thing.
Yes.
But it's really just something we made up.
Yes.
That we can change. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. So money, most people think it's a paycheck, right? It's like cash. It's the digits in your bank account.
Yeah.
Money at the very, very core of it is value. Okay. It's a agreed upon value.
Right.
So when nobody thinks a dollar bill is worth anything anymore, it's not going to be worth anything, right? Because there's no majority consensus in value. Okay, so to give you an idea, you can look all this stuff up. There was a point in time when twigs or sticks were considered value. Tulips were considered value, which is the craziest thing, right? Obviously, gold was considered value.
And so we're like cows and...
Yeah, right, we're like livestock, but or if you think about a car, right, you're automatically putting a money amount to it, and it's actually because it's basically that's how you're calculating value. Mm-hmm. Okay, but it's not necessarily the money amount that matters, it's actually the spending power, right? So like it's not that a dollar matters, it's what a dollar can actually get you that matters.
Right, yes.
Right? So we've been taught that inflation is normal, right? So you've heard before probably that 3% inflation is just a thing, right? That's a brainwash thing, right? Like if value is value, how come it keeps losing its value? It's because we're creating more debt. So basically central banks are printing more and more money, putting it into the systems. The money is being devalued, right? And then we've been taught that that's a normal thing. And it's the economic train of thought of that is called Keynesian, and there's obviously I don't necessarily agree with that, right? But that's kind of like the system that we're in without even realizing it. Okay, that hasn't always been around because before we really before, I'll put it this way. So before the Federal Reserve was created in 1913, for the 100 years before that, the US dollar actually had very, very little inflation. It was like virtually zero for 100 years. And then for the last 113 years, we're down about 98% in value as far as the dollar. Okay, so the 100 years before that, no inflation. Inflation just means the dollar's worth less. And then the 113 years since the Federal Reserve was created in the US, we lost about 98% of our value or spending power in the dollar. Okay, so if you look up something called the dollar index, right, it's called, I think the sign's DXY. The DXY is down about 8% over the last 3 months. The dollar index is how much a dollar is worth relative to a basket of other currencies in the world. Okay, so I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know the exact currencies in there, but for example, if you have the British pound, the euro, right, the dollar compared to that, how much is it worth? Mm-hmm. Over the last 3 months, it's down 8%, about 8%. Okay, which means now if you had $100 3 months ago, technically it's worth $92, right? So without even doing anything, that dollar is actually worth that much. Now, it's a little bit more complicated than that because that's just dollars compared to other currencies, right? So all of those are called fiat currencies, F-I-A-T, because they're created and issued by the government, and then you're determining the value based on trust, right? So it's not backed by anything, right? There's no actually value back in it. It's called fiat. And then every fiat currency ever created in the world has gone to zero at some point. Okay, so that's just everything. And at some point, our fiat currency is going to go to zero, and then a new currency has to come up. Okay, so in Venezuela, Zimbabwe, right, the two off the top of my head, their currency has just gone to zero in the last 3 to 4 years, right? Where you're seeing ridiculous things where 30 million, I forgot what the Venezuelan, a bolivar, I think that's what it's called, is worth a Coke or something, right? Because it's just hyperinflating away. Okay, so we have this trust in the US dollar, nothing's going to ever happen to it, but it's also a fiat currency. Just in the last 3 months, it's lost 8% value relative to other currencies. But that's not taking into account that fiat currencies as a whole have been devalued, right, over the years, right? So the dollar has lost, 98% value since 1913, right? And then there's dollar compared to other fiat currencies, right? So money is rapidly, especially now, losing value. Okay. Any questions here?
We need to continue because that idea gives me anxiety.
It gives you anxiety?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's just because that is because, I'm stepping into.
Yeah, okay. But you understand what I'm saying?
I do understand what
you're saying. So when you hear about, hey, new stimulus, hey, we're going to do a $3 trillion stimulus, the money's coming from somewhere, right? That money is being printed, right? There's a system. So basically, traditionally, the Federal Reserve, which is not the government, it's a separate bank, they'll actually print money. They just create money. It's the craziest thing. And then buy treasury bonds. So basically, that's how they move money into the government. And then now the government has money, right? So basically, this entity creates money. They can just create as much as they want. They buy stuff that I sell. So now I have the money, and then I can start dispersing it out in the economy, right? So if there was $1 trillion before in the economy, so the M1 money supply, so basically what we consider money, it gets crazy. It was at about 4.3 trillion before. Over the last 3 months, we printed about close to $4 trillion. So it was $4.3 trillion before all this stuff happened, and now we created another 4 trillion. Technically, you about double the money supply, right? So what should happen, just from a math standpoint, is the dollar should be worth half as much, but that's not actually happening yet, right? Because if I print a bunch of money, but I don't actually offload it completely into the system, I'm keeping it more closed. The money velocity is very low. So money velocity is the speed in which money changes hands. And then during that time, before the money devalues, I can actually take money that I created or money that's still worth something in people's eyes and then buy something that's actually worth something, right? So if I buy, for example, gold, right, when the money inflates away, so let's just say right now I could buy 1 ounce of gold for $2,000, right? Mm-hmm. If the money is worth half as much, I automatically the gold will be worth $4,000. It's not necessarily gaining in value; it's just gaining in value relative to the dollar. Does that make sense? Okay. So now that I kind of like scared you a little bit, that's a economic situation we're in. This is the big reason why I have a lot of other like questions about the coronavirus, because it's very, very convenient that during this time in March, we shut down the world's economy for a virus that if you catch it, statistically, according to the CDC, there's like a 99.76% survival rate. So if you are actually testing positive for the coronavirus, out of all the people, 99.76% of the time, you'll survive. And we shut down the world economy. Okay, it makes very, very little sense, right? And like a lot of people want to think it's just politics in the US, but we did that around the world. Okay, well, funny enough, the world economy has been artificially propped up since 2008, right? So our economic system as we know it has died since 2008. It was already dying, but that big crash in 07, 08 really killed it. And then we've just been artificially inflating it up with yield curve control. So that's how you print money to buy treasury bonds to keep the interest rate at a certain level. And it's just been going on. And then even over the last 10, 11 years or so, there's other clear signs where this part's failing, this part's failing, this part's failing, and then we just keep propping it up. And now we're kind of in the final stages. I almost think about it like a star that's like what do they call, like a red star and then like a dwarf star for a sun, where we're just accelerating debt creation. And we just keep justifying, oh, it's because of the virus, because of the virus, because of the virus, to keep the stock market up, okay? There's only one way this is gonna go. There's only one way. The fiat currency is gonna go to zero, okay? Now, the good news is there's still billions of human beings, right? We still produce goods, we still produce cars, whatever. So just because the money system the currency goes to zero, something automatically will have to rise up to take its place. Right, it just has to, right? Because we have to have a way to agree upon value. So if the dollar is not worth anything anymore, something else will have to rise up. So that's called like a financial reset. Okay, good so far? Okay, so then it comes down to, okay, out of all the stuff out there right now, what's actually a good thing to invest in, anticipating the reset, and what's actually probably a bubble. So a bubble just means it's artificially inflated. And then it's not a good investment, because when the bubble pops, you're gonna lose everything. Okay, so the biggest bubble right now, in my opinion, is the stock market. All right, so since the crash in March, when it went down like 35% in like 2 days or something, the NASDAQ is now trading at an all-time high. So we're creating more and more money. It's trading at an all-time high, and the stock market, for the most part, has gone up. If you listen to the politicians, they say it's a V-shaped recovery. So if you look like a V, right, it dips down, it comes right back up. Or people are like, it's the shortest recession in history, right? That's a narrative. That's a mainstream narrative. How does that make sense? We shut down the economy, unemployment like shot through the roof. Everybody gets $600 for not working, right? We pumped over, huh?
I got $1,200.
Oh, never mind the $1,200 stimulus check. That was there to distract you from the trillions of dollars that are going into other corporations. But then if you file for unemployment, $600 a week. On top of in Florida, it's $275. So you're making $875 a week for filing for unemployment for not working. And then they extended that for 3 months.
Okay.
Right. Forbearance. You don't have to pay your mortgage for 6 months. Okay. We're gonna accrue the interest rate, but you don't have to pay your mortgage. Right, and by the way, that's about to stop. So what do you think is going to happen to people paying mortgage? Okay, all this stuff is happening, right? And then we're distracted by certain things and not focus on what's going on economically. Okay, so the stock market has just been going up and up and up. Okay, so it's going up. There's a couple of factors for that. Okay, one, most of that money that's being created, not most, a huge percentage of that money that's being created is actually being funneled into the stock market, right? And then as retail investors, so retail investors are basically people like you and I who are not part of an institution. We're moving in. Big money is actually simultaneously moving out. So you can look this up, right? What's today, August 9th or 8th? Right? 8th. Look up what Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, just did to Amazon stock. He just sold billions of Amazon stock in the last week, right? But it keeps going up, and there's actually people coming to buy it up, right? It's a little curious, right? Why is he moving out? Okay, so stock market, NASDAQ is at an all-time high. Don't be fooled by it, because there's a couple reasons for that. Okay, if the value of the dollar is going down, right? It could be at Amazon stock could be at $1,500, right? But how much is that $1,500 actually worth, right? If it's the dollar's worth less, it could technically be at $1 million and be worth nothing to you, right? So one is it's going high. It's because one, our money is actually being devalued, right? But then that could be any investment, because if any investment goes up, technically the dollar's being devalued, will go up, right? And then two, what's a proper valuation for the stock? So this is where it gets interesting. Don't tune out, right? So like, if I made it,
I haven't tuned out.
Okay, a very easy way, again, like stock traders are probably gonna like have a fit, right? But like a very easy way to for people to gauge how much a stock should be valued at is something called a forward P/E ratio. So forward P/E ratio. Okay, so it's profit to earning, and it's projecting what's going. It's projecting basically how much you're gonna earn over the next X amount of years, and that actually determines the stock price. Okay, traditionally, it's been at a certain number. I think it's 13 or 15, something like there. And right now you have like the major stocks trading at over 30. Okay, so traditionally it's been at 13 or 15. That's a ratio, right? And if it's trading over 30, then that means it's up by at least 50%, right? So it's inflated by what the traditional price is by at least 50%. And it just keeps going up and up. I forgot what it was. There's some that were like 70% higher. So that means right now, right, if you go off of the 4 P/E, you can actually say stock markets as a whole is inflated by 50 to 70% right now. Okay, so yes, it's gonna go up, right? And when you're in a bubble, yes, you can actually make money in the bubble, but just know you're investing into something that's actually inflated, that's not properly valued. Okay, so yes, it's worth, Tesla stock hit $2,000 like a while ago, right? Is it actually properly valued? When the reset happens, what is the reset gonna, like if it goes to its proper valuation, what's it gonna be at, right? It's the same thing with a housing bubble. Just because people are agreeing to sell a house at 800 grand, when it pops and its actual value is probably around 200 grand, you can make money trading at something that's overinflated. It's just way more dangerous, right? And there's a chance, because it could pop at any moment, I think it'll be after the elections, right? But like, it's gonna be, so you're not investing in something that if the reset happens, you're actually protected. Okay, now we'll move on to any questions there. Okay, and then we'll move on to gold.
I feel glorious, glorious, got a chance to start again. I was born for this, it's who I am, how could I forget? I made it through the darkest part of the night, and now I see